Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Outside, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to do is to take one of the Holy Trinity, or if anyone still uses that term, the Patek Philippe. And I want to take a look at three different Patek Philippes and look at some alternatives. Now, the alternatives are not necessarily better or worse, they're simply different. They're all less expensive. That's one of the things about the Patek Philippe watches. They're fine watches, but they're super expensive. So let's take a look. Now, the first one is sort of a classic. I once had a Calatrava. It was an older one, but I love that watch and it just was wonderful to wind, and it was a really great watch. And this one, the Patek Philippe 6119R Calatrava, is really one of my favorite Patek Philippe's. It still is. It's $32,110, which is usually over my, unless I got lucky on selling some watches, but I don't know whether I would get this one or not, but I like it a lot. It's got the caliber 30-255 is hand wound, and I like the manual wound. It's got a 65-hour reserve, and it's about 3 3/4 hertz, 25,200 semi-oscillations per hour. Now, the thing that it has that I really like are dual barrels in parallel. And what that does, it has both barrels working simultaneously rather than in serial where one poops out and the other one takes over. What these two is they give a very constant force. Like it a lot. I have a FP Journe chronomet surveying. They also have the dual barrels in parallel. Great watch. Now, one I thought was this was about a little over about $13,000 less expensive. The Chopard LUC XPS. Now, the thing about the LUC line, they have their own manufactured movements. This one has a caliber 9612-L, and it's based on a 96.01. So, I mean, they're both in-house movements, 65-hour reserve, 4 hertz, 28,800. Now, the $19,000 as opposed to 32,000 is quite a saving, but they're both out of gold. They're roughly very close to the same size. And so this might be an alternative to a Calatrava. Now, one of the Chopard LUC XPs is called the Forest Green. The Chopard LUC Forest Green. Same exact watch, except it's got a forest green dial and a steel case. So it's significantly less at 11,800, something that you might want to consider. Now, a much, not too much less watch, but similar to in more ways than I realized, is the Schwarz Wtih and Roma Power Reserve. 42 millimeters, 18 karat gold. It has a caliber, what's called the MSC 111. Now, the M calibers on the Schwarz ETN means they're mechanical, and which means they're hand wound too. And this one's hand wound, 3 hertz, 21,600 semi-oscillations per hour. It also has the dual barrels in parallel. Now, it's 27,500, which isn't a lot less than the $32,000 Patek Philippe. But this one has a couple things. First of all, I really like the power reserve, especially on a hand wound watch. And this one has the power reserve up around between 1 and 2 o'clock. The other thing is that they have the same watch in steel for 11,500, which to me would be a very, very good buy. Now, the final one, they don't make these anymore. This is the Rolex Cellini Danaos 4243/9. Also in gold. The thing that's interesting about this, and I actually really like it, it has a rose gold bezel and a white gold case. I like that. Uh, Now, this is also hand wound, manual wound, 46-hour reserve, 3 hertz. It's 3 hertz on a Rolex uh, COSC. I like this watch, and I found one on Chrono 24 for $6,085. I don't know what kind of shape it's in. Obviously, it's going to be a used watch, but to me, that would be a heck of another good one at really super price. A gold watch, hand wound. It has all of the features of the Patek Philippe. I don't think it has the dual barrels in parallel though. Now, this next watch, a Patek Philippe, is the World Time, and the World Timer. I just been looking for a World Timer. I haven't made up my mind about one. Been trying to find one, and if I could afford it, I'd certainly like to have the one by Patek Philippe for a whole lot of reasons. But I can't afford it. It's a very interesting one. It has sort of like a denim type of strap to it, and I'm not sure why. I guess if you travel a lot, that's not what someone's going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for a gold watch or something like that. Well, this is gold, but it's white gold. And it's got a caliber 240 HUC. Now, this one, and then the Calatrava we just looked at, neither one of them mentioned that they have a silicone hairspring, which I don't care for silicone in any watch. That's a mechanical watch, but that's me, and never mind. But this is another one without the silicone hairspring, another Patek Philippe. 76,509. That's a budget breaker for me and a half, but it's a watch I really like. Now, an alternative is another watch that they've discontinued, a line of watches, is a Jaeger-LeCoultre Geophysique Universal Time. This one is that I found pre-owned on a company called Bezel, Bezel. Is pre-owned, and it has a Jaeger-LeCoultre movement, which is really a top-notch movement. In fact, at one time, both Patek Philippe and Vacheron Constantin used movements by Jaeger-LeCoultre. And I found this one, like I said, for about $11,000, which is more, it's still not cheap, but it's more within my wheelhouse that I can afford. 41 millimeters in steel instead of white gold. Now, a couple more world timers I looked at. One is the Longines Master Collection World Time, 38 millimeters in steel. It's got a caliber L635, and all of Longines are owned by Schwarz, and Schwarz owns its ETA. And it's an ETA base 2824-2, 38-hour reserve, 4 hertz. This watch I found one for $2,304. This is another one of those watches. I think that's a new watch, but they don't make them anymore. And so a lot of times you'll find a really good price on that. This is a world time watch that, if you want a world time watch, you don't want to spend a lot of money. That's one that you might want to consider. Now, another one, the final one, is the Mont Blanc Heritage Spears Orbis Terrarum. This one's 41 millimeters, $3,660, a place called the Watch Warehouse. This one is quite nice. It's got a pusher up there at 2 o'clock, and then it has the crown at 9 o'clock. It's sort of the opposite of a lot of watches. A lot of people would consider that a left-hand watch. I don't think it is, though. Now, the caliber MB2920 has a base of a Salida SW350-1 automatic 42-hour reserve and 4 hertz. But these are very affordable. We start at 72,000, I think. So far more affordable. Okay, now the last one I want to look at is Patek Philippe Calatrava Pilot Travel Time Watch. Interesting thing about the Patek Philippe Calatrava Pilot Time is that in their catalog they have it with complications instead of with Calatravas. I can see why. It doesn't look like a Calatrava. Now this is a watch that it's basically a dual time zone watch, 42 millimeter, white gold. Now, as a former pilot, I really liked this watch when it first came out, and I remember when it first came out, a lot of Patek Philippe fans were just that this was horrible. We shouldn't be making watches that look like anything but really I guess. But this watch, I still like it. Dual time. You have a little thing for local and home time, and or what you could set it to would be Zulu time, which is basically the GMT time. This one's got now this one does have a silicone hairspring in it, which will give you a lot of accuracy, but it's not exactly the same. Automatic 4 hertz 45-hour reserve. This one, I love the color too. This is the different sort of a blue-gray within the light blue numbers on it. Heritage style numbers. I like it a lot. Now, a watch that if we're just having the dual time, nothing else, the H. Moser Company Heritage dual time is my absolute favorite. I would change the band. It's got I think a lot of the companies took off the these Gator bands because Gator bands, there's all kinds of problems transporting them into the U.S. at least, and perhaps some other countries too. They have to be farm raised, and I think you have to bring the farmer along to prove that it wasn't some almost extinct alligator, which is important. We don't want to extinct a bunch of animals or things. Okay, well this one, the H. Moser, it's a very clean watch. It's got a big crown on it for winding. It is an automatic 3 hertz, which I like, 3 days reserve, and it's got a Strawman hairspring, which is to me the best metal hairspring made. That and the Rolex, Parachrome hairspring. Those are the top ones that I like. Made out there, this one is made out of niobium and titanium. Wonderful watch. I love the looks of it, everything about it. That would be my choice. Now, on a more affordable level, you've got the Tudor Black Bay GMT. I've always liked this watch. When I first came out, I thought, wow, this is a nice watch for Tudor. Good thing to do with the Black Bay. Now, they keep coming out with different paint jobs on the Black Bay, but I like this one. I really liked a lot because it was a GMT. I also like this sort of Pepsi-ish bezel on this one. Got a caliber MT 5652, which is MT means manufactured Tudor, which is probably at their Canisi manufacturing that they have. 4 hertz 70-hour reserve. I like this watch. You get another one, nice, clean, clear, 4375. Again, this is a much easier price to live with. Now, the final one is a Longines Spirit Zulu time. This is another pilot's watch, caliber L8 44.4. It's automatic, and it probably has another base of an ETA. on it. It has an interesting hertz, 25,200, which is about 3 3/4 hertz. 72-hour reserve, and this too has a silicon hairspring. Most of the Swatch-owned watches are all converting to that. A lot of the Tudor are too, because Rolex was one of the three that got the silicon, Rolex, Swatch, and Patek Philippe. And they didn't do it with most of the Rolexes, but the men's watch, they used the parachrome hairspring, but I guess they figured, well, on Tudor we'll, we'll have it. But anyway, the Longines Spirit Zulu time, again, another pilot's watch. I really like this watch too. I like just the color scheme of it. Both of these have a metal bracelet as well. Anyway, those are my alternatives to Patek Philippe. I do like those Patek Philippes, but they're way out of my range. Not happy with their silicone hairspring, but that's, my own idiosyncrasy. I did have this is my dual time. This is a Parmigiani Hemispheres. Not only does it have dual times, it's got dual night and day, so you don't call your friend in the middle of the night. Anyway, let me know what you think. And also, I'd really like to hear say, hey, wait, what about this would be a good alternative for one of these three Patek Philippes? I'd like to hear from you. It's an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.